So is she gonna send me a new one?
Almost. Good evening. Please all rise. The Monday, January 26th, 2015 Common Council meeting is in session. I'd like to invite Father Dave Farrell up for invocation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we gather tonight to put in common our experiences, our hopes, and our goals for conducting the people's business in this historic and important part of our great country. May your deliberations and decisions be guided by truth, justice, and concern for those most in need. All citizens, but especially those in need, look to all of us to create conditions for them to have a more human life. Let us look into our hearts and listen to the human spirit that is also divine. This spirit will speak to each and all of our hearts if we take the time to listen. May this spirit, human and divine, illuminate each and all of us to serve our fellow citizens with truth, justice, and concern for our less fortunate brothers and sisters. Amen. I appreciate very much the invitation.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk Vardy, would you take a roll, please?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Henry's here.
Dr. Furley.
Yes.
Dr. Varner.
Present.
Oliver Davis.
Miss Oliver Davis is here.
Vice President Dieter.
Present.
Mr. Furley.
Here.
Councilmember White.
Here.
And President Tim Scott.
Present.
Ms. Valerie Shea has an excused absence, so there are 8 present.
We will skip subcommittee on minutes. Our minutes are prepared for this meeting. We will have them for next. So on to special business. I just want to make a quick announcement. If you would, turn off your cell phone or turn them to silent mode, please. We are still taking applications for Redevelopment Commission. We have 1 opening. Urban Enterprise Association, we have 2. One needs to be Republican and one a business owner. And we have 1 opening for Diversity Compliance Board. Any applications, they all have to be within city residents, and they're due Monday the 2nd of 2015. Now we'd like to have a report from the city offices, I believe.
Council President Scott, prior to that, you were going to make an announcement on the resolution 14100.
Oh, yes, thank you. If you're here for 14100, which deals with Indigenous People Day, that has been delayed indefinitely or postponed indefinitely. So anybody here for Indigenous People Day, that will not be heard tonight. So next up, a report from the city offices. I believe the mayor's here. This is a report from the mayor. We will not take any questions from the public or from council. If any council members have any issues or questions with the mayor, I suggest you meet with him one-on-one or his staff.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to be with the council today. I want to just begin by again congratulating the new council officers as well as the chairs of the various committees that were identified and named as the council came into organization. Certainly very much looking forward together in a year when I think there's going to be more opportunity than ever for us to achieve a great deal for the city working together. We're going to continue finding the best patterns for communication, formally and informally, with the entire group of committees, as well as offline in individual or small group settings.
Mayor, could you speak up? Yeah, it is a little.
I don't know if it's him or the microphones.
All right.
Yeah.
Is this better?
Not really.
No, not really. I hear myself more than I hear you.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll just project.
There you go.
So, I wanted to begin by thanking members of the council for the opportunity, congratulating the newly elected officers as well as the chairs that have been identified for the various committees, and stressing that I'm really looking forward to working with the various members of the council. We're going to continue looking for the best ways to communicate, whether it's with me or members of the administration, whether it's formally with the council as a whole or informally with members of the council, to make sure that the council's role as those with the ear closest to the ground of the residents and the finger on the pulse of what's going on in our neighborhoods are able to have input into decisions and are prepared for the decisions that will come to you, asking for you to make. Just a few things I want to highlight as we get 2015 off to a start. First of all, this is my first opportunity to give the report to city offices since we've entered the 150th year of the city. And so thank all of the council members for your support and participation in the 150th anniversary of the SB 150, and urge you to continue helping us spread the word to individuals, neighborhoods, organizations, churches, businesses, anybody who might contribute in any way to the celebration of our city. We direct them to sb150.com and remind everybody that we have a year-long series of celebrations for the city, not to mention the specific round of activities that's going to go on during Memorial Day weekend. By considerable providence, the actual birthday of the city falls on the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, so it affords us a great opportunity to celebrate together as a community. I want to mention my pride in the great turnout at the many activities that honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on Monday and throughout that weekend, including a remarkable attendance at the breakfast. There were also a number of panels and breakout sessions, and those, I think, are the beginning of a very important series of conversations we're going to need to continue to have in our community about how we make sure that we're living well and that we're doing everything we can to promote Dr. King's vision of justice and equality for all. A piece of good news I wanted to highlight to the council, continuing to get a lot of good press from folks taking notice of our city and what our city has achieved. Just last week, if you went to the Harvard Business Review website, the top story you would have seen is entitled, "What Business Can Learn from Government," which you might have thought was a typo, but that is in fact what they meant to say, and the article was mostly about South Bend and many things that we've achieved as a city, and that reflects well on all of the members of the council that have worked with us on efforts like the Vacant and Abandoned House Initiative. So thank you for your leadership in that regard. Also wanted to let you know that just returned from the U.S. Conference of Mayors, discussing a number of issues with fellow mayors from around the country, and I was reassured to find that many of the issues that are most acute here in South Bend are issues we're not alone in confronting, not only in the obvious respects, dealing with matters like economic growth, unemployment, crime, vacant and abandoned housing, but also that there's a coalition of mayors working together to exchange best practices on the issue of combined sewer overflow mandates, and are in dialogue with the EPA about the effect of those mandates and the challenge of funding those when they're unfunded from the federal government, and hope to continue to have news about anything productive that emerges from conversations with mayors, mostly from the Midwestern region, who are confronting similar situations to what South Bend is. I know there was some concerns and some questions about the snow weather event that's affecting the United States. I'm not a weatherman, though I'm routinely confused for one when I come into work, usually by children. So I just want to point out we don't see any major effects on South Bend, not much more than an inch or two of snow forecast. But we will, as always, continue to make sure that the street department is adequately staffed and that there are adequate resources to keep our streets safe in a winter weather event. There will, of course, be legislation on that this evening, but I won't use this time to comment on that. Nor will I comment now on the Parks Bond, though I believe that's a very exciting opportunity for the city, and look forward to that portion of this evening's meeting. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here. For any council members who have correspondence into the office, I thank you for your patience. We'll be getting back to you as expeditiously as possible on any outstanding items where we owe you a bit of information or some kind of update. And appreciate the opportunity to work together. Looking forward to 2015.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
With that, do I entertain a motion for result in committee in whole?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
I would like to call to order the committee of the whole. I've asked the president if I could remain in my seat at this time. The committee of the whole portion of the council meeting is where the common council sits as a committee. The title of each proposed ordinance is read by the city clerk, followed by a report from the committee chairperson of the standing committee, which held a public hearing on the bill. The chairperson announces the committee's advisory recommendation. If the proposed ordinance is a zoning ordinance, a report from area plan staff member will first be given, followed by the petitioner, who will give a formal presentation at the podium. On all other proposed ordinance, the formal presentation by the petitioner will be given immediately after the committee's chairperson advisory recommendation update. Following the formal presentation, council members may ask the person giving the formal presentation questions only, with all other council comments being held during the council portion. If there are any additional handouts, we ask that you give those to the city clerk, and that no one is permitted to approach the council members, or anyone is requested to stand behind the council railings at that point. During the public portion on each meeting, or each bill, members of the public are invited to address the council. We ask that you give your name, address, and comments on the bill. If you have questions, they will be addressed by the petitioner during the rebuttal. Each member of the public is limited to 5 minutes, which those speaking in favor going first, followed by those in opposition. Then a 5-minute rebuttal will follow. Additional rules governing this portion of the council meetings are available at the desk when you first enter the chambers. Again, we ask everyone that you turn off your electronic devices at this time. I will now ask City Clerk John Bordy to please give second reading to Bill 58-14.
Public hearing on a bill to amend the zoning ordinance for property located at 1430 Mishawaka Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 3 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Is there a committee report? This is ZNA.
I'm sorry, Joint Annexation Committee met this afternoon. We sent this to the full council with no recommendation due to a lack of quorum.
Thank you, Councilmember Davis. At this time, is there a presentation from Area Plan?
Good evening, Angela Smith from the Area Plan Commission with offices on 11th floor of this building. The petitioner is seeking to rezone a portion of property. It's approximately a 4,000 square foot lot at the corner of Mishawaka Avenue and Clover in the city of South Bend, currently zoned LB local business. They're looking to rezone to CB community business. You can here see the image of the property in relationship to the Adams High School in the upper right-hand corner of the screen. It's in a mixed-use area along Mishawaka Avenue where we have a wide variety of uses, including single-family homes, schools, gas stations, and other retail uses along this stretch of the Mishawaka Avenue. The building is shown there. It's the yellow building on the right. It was previously a service station. You can see the 2 bays that would operate for the auto repair there. However, since the building sat vacant for a period of greater than 12 months, it's lost its legal non-conforming status and needs to come back before the council for rezoning. Again, another image from Clover, so you can see its relationship to the single-family home behind it and the 6-foot privacy fence used for screening between the 2 properties. This area has a wide range of zoning and uses. We have mixed use, local business, single family, and other community business property within the area. As I mentioned, the site's only 4,000 square feet, and it has an existing 1,300 square foot building which will be reused for this purpose. At this time, there's no additional improvements to be made to the site. This comes to you from the Area Plan Commission with a favorable recommendation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Council members, do you have any questions at this time? Seeing none, thank you so much. We'll now invite the petitioner to come to the podium. We do ask that you state your name and address and give us a brief summary of Bill 58-14, please.
My name is Santos Rios. My address is 1421 South 300 East in LaPorte, Indiana. And I'm asking to rezone this property. I want to make in a shop where the cars can go in, get their oil changed, a flat changed, or a wiper or anything like that. An in and out place where there won't be cars there like 24 hours or stuff like that. That's what I want to turn this place into.
Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Council member Tim Scott?
Yes. How many bays are inside the building? Or how many cars can fit inside the bays within the building?
It's a two-door garage.
Okay.
Yes. And
Okay.
Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Our attorney, please.
Ms. Rios, during the zoning and annexation meeting, the council members asked if you would be in favor of a written commitment so that there would be no overnight parking outside. Do you agree to that commitment?
yes, I do.
And the area plan staff will work with the petitioner on getting that if the council so desires?
Yes, we will.
And again, if the council would request that when you make your motion, you would make it subject to that condition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. At this time, we'll move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak in support of Bill 58-14? Anyone wishing to speak in support? Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. We'll now move to the council portion.
Move for recommendation for the amended version.
Subject to...
It's just a verbal amendment, subject to no overnight outside parking.
Second.
Let's move and second it. All those in favor of the motion as amended?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. The amended version of 58-14 will be sent to the full council with a favorable recommendation. I will now entertain a motion regarding Bill 03-15.
Motion to continue?
Till March 9th.
Till March 9th.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries.
I'd like to make a motion that 5914 be continued to February 9th. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. Mr. Vorty, will you please give second reading to Bill 66-14, please?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending various sections of Chapter 20, Article 7 of the South Bend Municipal Code to address snow removal practices and procedures. Motion to hear the substitute?
As on file with the city clerk.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote? Aye. Those opposed, the motion carries. We'd like to entertain a committee's report regarding substitute Bill 66-14.
Madam Chair, there was not a quorum present, so there's no recommendation.
Okay, thank you. We'll now like to invite the petitioner to come to the podium to share this particular substitute bill with the council at this time.
Good evening, council members. Eric Korbath, Public Works Director, 13th floor of this building. What you have in front of you is just some changes to the existing ordinance. The changes, to sum it up in very brief, are really related to two things. Number one, on the street clearance condition, which we've got three different conditions. We've got snow route removal condition and street clearance, and winter weather emergencies. The first and the last are not going to be changed, but on street clearance conditions, rather than go from north-south, east-west, we'd like to go to an even-odd. And so what it means is that it makes it a lot simpler for people on residential streets when we do end up calling a street clearance condition, so they understand where they should be parking. So very simply, on even-numbered days, they can park on the even side address street, and on odd days, they can park on the odd. So if your address is 1423 Sunnymead, and you're parking on that side on January 3rd, you're fine. On January 4th, you need to move to the other side of the street. It's that simple. The other change in the ordinance was we clarified language on violations to make sure that it was understood that those would be enforced by either police, code, or other entities in the city, and that they would go through our Ordinance Violations Bureau. The fines would be paid there, and the fines we're recommending would be changed from $25 to $50. I think that's about it.
Council members, do you have any questions of the petitioner? Councilmember Henry Davis, you have any questions? Okay. Councilmember Oliver Davis?
Yes, when was the last time that, when did the $25 go into effect?
I don't know. We looked at the 1978 ordinance, and the 78 ordinance was actually $50 violation. I think it's $300 for winter weather emergencies. The change from then, I'm not sure. It was probably in the 90s. You know, Kathy?
I don't recall. I'm sorry.
And over the years, what has been the amount of traffic collections with that issue?
Over the last number of years, there have been no collections.
Over the last number. Any reason?
Because nobody's been enforcing it, or because we didn't have a street clearance condition in effect.
So is the street clearance issue the only reason why they were not collected?
I'm not sure I understand that question.
You just said that what's your rationale for the reason why they were never collected is because of the fact that this street collection system was not in place, correct?
No.
So what is it?
That no violations were cited.
I agree with that. But I'm saying to you, what was the rationale?
That they weren't cited?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were either that nobody was violating, there was no street condition, or nobody was issuing citations. I don't know which one.
So therefore, since this is a new change, and with everything going on, I don't really see the rationale of raising any kind of fees first in this process. We have not collected any fees in the past, and I think
Councilmember
that...
Davis, this is for questions only.
Well, I'm about to ask a question, if you give me a chance. Thank you. I don't see any reason for doing that. And so therefore, can you please give me a rationale, since this has not been collected in the past, why is it necessary? Because you said to me it has not been.
That's correct.
So what's the rationale? And I believe in our last meeting, you would share with us too, that it really didn't matter whether it was going to be 25. You didn't really have a precedent for it at all.
Yeah.
I think that's what you said on the record.
Yeah, and at the committee meeting, we discussed this, and what we're interested in is making sure that when we have a condition where we need to get the streets cleaned, that we have the ability to get them cleaned. And so, while you could appeal to higher interest and hope that everyone just moves them without any fine, we all know that that doesn't always work. And there needs to be some mechanism through which we enforce regulations and ordinances. And if the $25 is enough incentive to get people to move their car, then by all means, I'm comfortable with that. We just want to make sure there's an incentive for people to get their cars moved, when we call a street clearance condition.
So therefore, you are comfortable, you said, if the $25 is enough to get them removed. And then we can come back and visit that later if it's not enough. But you're comfortable right now with that being at $25 if it gets the purpose done, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's, like I said, my recommendation was to move to $50, but we're not interested in finding residents. We're interested in getting cars moved so we can clear streets.
That's really, I thought, was the intent. And so that's what I was hoping that, based on what you shared last time, I was hoping that's the way that you and I would see that. And I'm glad to hear that tonight.
Are there any other questions?
Yes.
Councilmember Dieter?
Thank you very much. Who will be the defining entity that will enforce it? You said police, code, or somebody else. Who's going to be the ones that, when a truck is going down 30th Street and there's cars there, the truck goes by, does the street department call and say, hey, 19 cars are here? And is it the police responsibility? Is it code? Is it parks? Who does that?
So we've left that open so that it can be flexible, but that is what would happen is our street department would make a call, and initially that call goes to code enforcement. Our code enforcement will be the first people who will go out and issue citations.
How many people will you have a day or night issuing citations out of code?
It's going to depend on the situation. If we've got serious snow issues and we can't get streets cleared, then we have the flexibility of not only having code but having police and other entities issue citations. And so, I guess we'll have to see when those conditions arise, where they are. But that's why we've given ourselves flexibility in the ordinance to have others designated as well.
Okay, have you talked to the police department? Are they going to be able to spare manpower to write tickets for cars that aren't off these snow areas?
No.
Okay. Again, I'll do this is the questions I have, and I'll comment when we get back to us.
I want for clarity before we make sure that every council member's had an opportunity to ask questions. So the petitioner, you are agreeing to keep the $25 fee that's currently part of the ordinance?
The fine is the fine issue.
Sorry.
It's trying to make it an easier ordinance for people to understand, because right now it's not very clear.
So as it stands now, the $25?
Not really.
Yes, I want to make
I'm fine with that.
Okay, then. Okay. So I want to make sure that your Councilmember Davis' question to the petitioner.
When it comes back to the code enforcement, if we have a storm over the weekend from Friday through early Monday morning, code does not work on the weekends, do they?
They do have some provisions for working on weekends, yes.
Will those provisions be, I didn't see this ordinance speaking to anything regarding them being able to work in case this is the nature of that. And so wouldn't it not put all the pressure on the police instead of on code if a storm, because a lot of our storms last year came in on the weekends. And so would that not put the pressure on removing those on more of the police and not the code?
Again, that's why we put flexibility in the ordinance on the enforcement side, is to give us that flexibility.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to now move to the public portion. Again, we need to come back and to amend this particular, unless we want to do it now.
Yeah, if there is a request to amend, I have the 2 pages that would have to be amended.
Okay.
Sure, motion to amend $50 to $25.
Second.
For purposes of clarity, on page 1, you would strike the words in the second last line immediately after the word removal. The rest of that sentence would be struck. And also on page 5, section 4, section 20-105.1A, you would maintain the $25, striking the $50 in that paragraph.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion, may I hear your vote?
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries.
Now, thank you for
So
that.
substitute bill 66-14 has been amended. At this time, we move to the public hearing portion. Is there anyone present wishing to speak to the amended version of substitute bill 66-114? Anyone wishing to speak in support of this bill? We ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address.
Rebecca Kaiser, 913 Diamond Avenue, South Bend, Indiana. And I'm speaking in support of the bill. I personally live on a snow route, and I do see maybe some problems because in some of our older neighborhoods, we also have shared drives. And in many of the older neighborhoods, we also have elderly and disabled. So I can see this might, if we don't look at it correctly, put some of those disabled and elderly in a position because they do live on a snow route where they can't use the driveway because shared driveways can sometimes cause acrimony in neighborhoods. But I also understand, having driven around the city, on streets like Irvington, where last winter you literally, if you had a larger car, had to pull your mirrors in to get through the streets because the city could not plow them close enough to the curb so that people could park. And the current red tag system is 72 hours, which means that if we're in a snow emergency, we have 3 days before these cars are going to be out of the way for somebody to plow. So I think making it easier for people to understand is a good idea, but I'm hoping we look at some of the streets that may have to have a little wiggle room because we're dealing with shared driveways or elderly or disabled. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name's Dave Wilson, 1109 21st Street. The thing I don't understand about this, I support the bill, but you people up here asking a bunch of questions and stuff about it. If we have a law in the city of South Bend, why can't it be enforced? I mean, go out and tow them. If people don't want to move their cars, tow them. Put them away somewhere. I'm 73 years old. I get out all the time. I shovel my snow out in the street, every bit of it, right down to the bare road. And people sit there and laugh at me because I do it, but my road is clean where I'm at, where I live, and I think everybody should do the same.
Thank you. Anyone else present wishing to speak in support of the amended version of Substitute Bill 66-14? Seeing no one, is there anyone wishing to speak in opposition? Again, I see no one. The public hearing portion is closed. Council members, what is your pleasure?
Move for favorable recommendation as amended.
Councilman Davis had his hand up before we went to...
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Since I was listening to what was going on, and I think Becky Kaiser brought to a point, and the gentleman that brought it. If indeed someone gets tagged with a ticket that may be someone who can't respond like those who can respond, is there a period of retracting the fines? Will there be a way of folks saying, I couldn't do it because of whatever issue, and that fine being taken away or being erased?
That's a question we would need to ask the petitioner or the ordinance bureau. But that's a good question, and we won't have that addressed.
There's an appeal process that the Ordinance Violation Bureau has on their form, and that would be routine.
Okay.
It then goes to the legal department for review.
What being out of town?
I want to ask to make sure you wait to get recognized on the ball right down the road.
No problem.
Okay. Councilman Davis, you get all your questions?
Well, sure, and this goes to my next question. I think you were the author, along with then Charlotte Pfeiffer's county president. You guys, ladies, put together quality of life ordinances that kind of discuss exactly what we're talking about. Yes, no?
We was a number of, we did not necessarily put those quality of life ordinances together. We reviewed them, and there was some discussions in regards to enforcement.
Well, that leads back to my question about enforcement. Are we doing selective enforcement of city codes, or are we going to be enforcing all codes to make sure that each neighborhood is being taken care of like any other neighborhood should be taken care of? That's my question. See, because what happens now is that we're looking at raising fees, glad we're not raising the fees, right? So, which is great, but it almost seems like this is what we're going to do now. Well, there's other issues as well, giving people cars on the curb line, in the street, or on somebody's lawn.
I think that those issues in terms of the quality of life should be given to, I want to say the correct committee would be Health and Public Safety, and then we need to look at all those quality of life ordinance. But for this particular purpose, we're looking at the amended...
Well, no, I'm just bringing up a point of understanding what we're doing right now. And so I don't want us to look like that we're selectively enforcing certain city codes, and then before it would have been at a game, as far as the ticket amount going higher, but now it's back down. But we're still looking at selective, we could be looking at selective enforcement. I'm not saying that's what's going on. I'm just saying because other things are happening, given neighborhoods, given streets, given cars being on the street, and also plows. This is the only thing we're going to concentrate on.
But this is the one that's before us, and we need to, those other issues will be addressed through the proper committee. Are there any other council members that would like to speak prior to taking a motion? Councilmember Davis?
In terms of people going out of town for vacations, weekends, or whatever, and a snowstorm comes, they get back and they just be fined because their car they were not in a position to change. Is that just going to be standard practice?
I think there's appeal process to that, if I'm not mistaken.
Could we clarify that for the public?
The appeal process. Ms. City Clerk Vorty, will you please clarify?
Yeah, there's a standard appeal form for any violation, whether it's any kind of parking violation or non-moving violation. We assist, encourage that right to appeal for anyone who feels as though the ticket's been issued unjustly or unfairly, and we assist in filling out that form. It can also be done online. That appeal then goes to the city attorney's office, where one of the deputies rules, whether or not it's voided or not voided, based on the merits of the appeal. But that right is one enjoyed by anybody to whom a ticket has been issued.
Thank you.
Follow up with that understanding, is there a record or the most, none, few get appealed in terms of, I know they say case by case, but what's been kind of a practice? I mean, because we may have it in place, but would that be something that would be valid if people went out of town or they had to go for a period for holiday time, Christmas time, and came back? And would that be a valid kind of a situation, that, in your opinion?
I can't speak to every contingency, but my experience has been that under, let's say, snowy conditions where a blue curb has been obscured by a windrow of snow, the legal department takes that into account when they're ruling on an issue. Again, it's up to them. On rare occasion, I have listened to appeals and helped citizens write that appeal and even initial with a little proviso that I think this sounds valid to me, but again, it's not up to me.
Okay.
And it doesn't happen very often that I interject my opinion on something. I just try to help.
I know Councilmember Dieter and Councilmember Froelich. Then I'm going to call for the motion.
All right, thank you. The goal of this is to get cars off the streets so the street department come out and get the snow in the neighborhoods. The couple of issues I have, like I alluded to and asked Mr. Horvath, but we have 3 entities are having the flexibility to write the tickets, and I know from my work in government for a long time that if something happens, everybody's going to be pointing to the other person that they didn't go out and write the tickets. The enforcement issue is a problem because, again, there's no single entity would be responsible for doing all the enforcement. I know the police department is going to have a police car behind a snow truck going down neighborhoods. I'm sure they're code enforcement. And again, for my work, when we have large snows, they're literally, one year, like I alluded to earlier, just myself and other officers impounded about 75 to 80 cars during the course of a day, and that only covered one side of town, or not even, like basically a quarter of the town. And then also when you get into smaller streets off of Western, the Grant, and the Philippas, and so on over there, the one-way streets, I don't know where cars are going to go, because they're going to have to go across the street, which are already full. So if they go to Huron or Western, that's going to be a big issue, parking, because if there's heavy snow, the people can't get into their garages. And like, Diamond is also a perfect example of the cars that can sometimes park in the driveways and the others, and
The 1000 block of Riverside is a perfect example of they cannot park on the east side of Riverside because it's a traffic lane. So as long as that block there's a lot of issues. Then what happens in a cul-de-sac? That they're going to stop on the middle of the cul-de-sac, and we have a lot of cul-de-sacs. But again, the main thing is with this, in my mind, is the enforcement part of that. If we want to get cars off the street, there needs to be something other than a $25 fine. You know, I threw out earlier of doing a 24-hour red tag instead of the 72-hour, because by that time the snow could melt, but we want to get that cars off. So again, my only issue is, and we talked about briefly, is the number of ordinance we have and the lack of enforcement on those. And I don't want something, again, put out there where we have a snow and then people are calling on 26th Street, so what are you going to do with these cars? And they will call the police department. They're busy chasing criminals, they say call code. And they say, well, call this person. So that's I don't know how I'm going to vote on that yet, but that's my issue.
Thank you. Councilmember Furley?
I think there's always exceptions to the rule. When you speed, the highway patrolman gives you a ticket, unless your wife's having a baby, then you have an exception. But unless you enforce your laws, it'll be chaos. That's the reason we have 1,000 homes in 1,000 days, because we let code become lax, and code never enforced anything. For the betterment of all our citizens, we have to have snow removed. There will be exceptions, and I think that the code officers or the policeman or whoever is issuing the ticket will take that into consideration. I think Karen made the suggestion that we keep it at $25 and we'll follow it over a year. If after a year it doesn't work out, this was at the committee meeting this afternoon.
I'm going to ask council members to not have the sidewalk.
Okay, thank you, Karen. Thank you. We had a meeting on this afternoon at a committee meeting where we answered most of these questions. Ms. White made the suggestion that we keep it at $25 and see how it works over the course of the year. If we find out we need to raise it to $50, then we'll raise it to $50. If we find we have to do it with red tags, we'll do it red tags. But we have to have some kind of program at the present time, and this seems to be the best consensus.
Motion to send 6614 to the full council favorably.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded.
Question yet. I have one more question.
Okay. I'm going to let it go this time, but the motion has been made and seconded, but I'll let you, it has to pertain to this bill.
It does.
Okay.
In terms of the enforcement, Vice President Dieter just stated the fact that there's 3 different entities. Is there any way that those entities could have come together to have solidified who's going to do what prior to everything else? Or can we have a report back within a matter of, this passage was not our problem, but I think there needs to be some kind of follow-up within the next 14 to 28 days about who's going to take the lead in this bill, because it needs to be clear to what he just mentioned, because that's chaos in terms of it's going to be the police and everything else. So can they report back to your committee, Vice President Dieter, of who's going to do what, and if Mr. Horvath can initiate that with the police? He said he hasn't talked to the chief of police.
I have some notes that after motion that we're going to ask the petitioner that grew out of the committee's meeting too, as well.
I appreciate it.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded.
Councilmember
Yes.
White, the motion was for the substitute bill as
Yes, it
amended.
was.
Yes, substitute bill is amended.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. I would like to ask the petitioner that within the next, I would say 14 days, if you could come back to the committee, through the committee, the Health and Public Safety Committee, to address the issue of enforcement as well as other issues that you heard this evening. And we'll schedule that time at the next council meeting, which will be the second meeting in February. Okay, thank you. Mr. Boyd, will you please give second reading to Bill 01-15?
Public hearing on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing the issuance of bonds by the City of South Bend, Indiana, titled as Economic Development Income Tax Bonds of 2015, and other matters connected therewith, including the payment of incidental expenses on the account of the issuance of the bonds and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith.
I believe this is a joint committee. Would like to have a committee recommendation, please?
Yes, Community Investment and Park Committee met today, and both committees send this forward with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. We do have a petitioner. Could you please state your name and address?
John Murphy, City Controller with offices on the 12th floor of this building. We are pleased to bring this 2015 Edit Parks bond to you. It's a $5.58 million par bond. The construction fund is $5 million. The difference is primarily due to the setting up of a debt service reserve fund, which is often used for these types of bonds. This is an exciting day for the Parks Department. I know they've been many years in the making. The first payment would be due August 1st, 2015. Annual payments would be roughly $425,000 per year. It's paid through the EDIT fund, the Economic Development Income Tax Fund. That's a local income tax fund that we use for a variety of purposes, operating and capital. We have some debt that is rolling off in 2017, which would be more than enough to cover these bond payments. That's primarily the EDIT fund receives income of about $9 million a year, and it's balanced for 2015, as you know from the budget discussions. I'd be happy to answer any questions, and we have others. Well, I forgot. Let me introduce our professional team that's here that's assisted us with this. From Frost Brown Todd Bond Counsel, we have Denise Bartol and Sarah Reardon, and for our financial advisors, Herschel Frierson and Andrew Perry from Crow Horwath, who've done an excellent job getting us to this point. If the bond ordinance is approved tonight, the next step is a bond rating, which would be about February 11th or so. After that, we'd have the bond bids that would be due and the award of the bonds, which would be about February 18th. And then March 3rd would be the bond closing and the setting up of an escrow account. All the proceeds would go into a designated account. They wouldn't have to be spent right away. They'd be held in trust until, and they could only be spent on parks improvements. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Council members, do you have any questions of our city attorney, controller? Councilmember Davis?
John, thanks. Look, I am interested in a couple different things. How many parks do we have right now?
I'd have to answer. It's like 53 or something.
It's 57 total parks that
something like that, yeah.
We're obligated to take care of.
Right.
$5.6 million is not enough. I do understand that to probably touch any of those. Has there been a conversation about countywide park systems?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Countywide park systems.
I haven't been a part of that. Bill, have you been that at all?
Because I don't think that we can survive floating bonds at $5 million given 57 parks.
Well, we also have a parks fund, that covers the operating cost of the parks. So we have other funding sources for operations. This is more dedicated to capital. Did you want to comment?
Yeah, in answer to your question regarding...
Can you state your name and address, please?
Sorry about that. Phil St. Clair, Parks and Recreation Department, Office 321 East Walter Street, South Bend. In answer to your question regarding countywide parks, that was discussed back in 1992. We sat down with the county and the city of Mishawaka, and we talked a little bit about how we might be able to do a countywide park system. However, there were a lot of details and political rules and regulations we just couldn't get through. It really didn't feel like it was in the best interest at that time. We have not had any discussions about a countywide park system or a metro park system since 1992.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And my last question, you guys, the park system itself bids out most of their contracts. We are floating a bond with taxpayer dollars. It's not, something that's different than we all normally do, but this one's a special case. How will those contracts be divvied up amongst the community for folks who may be a small business person, small businessman being able to opportunity to participate in the refurbishing of some of the parks that we do have here. I just think it's an awesome opportunity for us to employ through a bidding system the folks who live here in South Bend or in the community, so that they have an opportunity to work. So my question is, again, how are those things being done? I know that you do a bid, you do a system where the lowest bidder usually wins out, but are there any special circumstances when bidding happens that will allow those who are here locally to get, maybe 1 or 2 points more because they live here locally versus somebody that may come out of Michigan or Ohio or Kentucky or somewhere?
I don't know the exact nuances. We bid everything over $75,000 through the Board of Public Works. I believe there are some local preference laws in the state of Indiana. I don't know the exact rules on that. We could get back to you on that. I think there were, at least a couple of years ago, maybe like a 1% preference, like a 1% preference or something to companies that are located near St. Joseph County, but I don't know all the details on that.
Last question.
But we're bidded according to public law.
Okay, last question. Are any of these updates happening right now?
For the parks bond?
Yeah.
No, it hasn't been issued yet. We won't have any funding until March 3rd at the earliest.
Are there any other questions that council members have? Seeing none, we'll now move to the public hearing portion. If there's anyone present wishing to speak in support of Bill 01-15, anyone present wishing to speak in support? Seeing no one, is there anyone present wishing to speak in opposition? I'd like for you to state your name and address, please.
Jesse Davis, P.O. Box 10205, South Bend, Indiana. The only reason I'm speaking in opposition, I think our parks are very important. But I received a disturbing letter last Thursday to my business P.O. Box. It had an Indianapolis postage mark on it, and it was anonymous. So I'm just going to read you the letter, and you can take from it what you want. The letter says, which is handwritten, the company that is contracted to mow both city cemeteries, named Hoosier Cutters, is owned by David St. Clair, son of Park Department head Phil St. Clair. The company has all their equipment stored in city property. The large garage at the cemetery is full of private equipment. Parks Department is in charge of the cemetery upkeep and has hired this company, Hoosier Cutters, to do it. Seems to be a big no-no to hire family. Maybe you and your group should look into this and can help. And then it says, P.S. Most damage done at the cemetery was not vandals. It was poor work done by this contractor. Now, as I said, this is anonymous. This is coming via a third party to me. I did some research since Thursday, and I found that the city park department has numerous part-time general maintenance employees, some of which make as little as $700 or $800 a year. Some make a few thousand. But I found that this company has had a contract to mow the city cemetery every year since 2009 to the tune of over $30,000. And at this present point, I believe it's $39,000. I brought you documents again from the Secretary of State to show the owner of this company. In light of all the issues that have been brought up in various departments of our city over the last few years, I think that this needs to be looked into when you're asking for millions of dollars of our tax money. We want to know for sure where this money is going, whose pockets they're going into, and so forth. I think we need to look into how many companies Mr. Sinclair's family have that presently do contract work for the city, such as exterminating, cleaning, and landscaping as well. I I will give you a privilege of the floor at the end of the meeting with a stack of documents to back all of this up.
Mr. Davis, are you going to give that to the city clerk?
I sure will. Can I do that now, or do I need to wait till the privilege of the floor?
Well, privilege of the floor, you're going to speak to issues that were not addressed.
Correct. I filled out a privilege of the floor, so do you want those now, sir?
Sure.
Thank you. Is there anyone else present wishing to speak in opposition of this bill? Seeing no one, we now move back to the council portion.
I move for favorable recommendation.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of the motion may hear your vote.
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries. We'd now like to entertain a motion to rise and report to the common council.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you, Howard. Full council is now back in session. John Bordy, this is third readings. Would you read 5814?
Third reading on a bill to amend the zoning ordinance for property located at 1430 Mishawaka Avenue, Councilmanic District Number 3 in the city of South Bend, Indiana.
Move with the passage as amended.
With written commitments?
With written commitments, or with the written commitments.
Second.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for him to...
All in favor? No, John.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Glad you're listening. Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
And President Scott.
Aye.
That would be 8 ayes.
Mr. Bordy, would you read 6614 as amended?
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending various sections of Chapter 20, Article 7 of the South Bend Municipal Code to address snow removal practices and procedures.
Move for passage of the amended version.
No, motion to amend as it was in the committee of
That's
the
what I
whole.
just said.
Second.
All in favor?
That's a voice vote.
All in favor, yes.
Aye.
Aye. All for passage of the amended version.
Yes.
Second.
Roll call. Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
And President Scott.
Aye.
That would be 8 ayes.
Mr. Bordy, 01-15, please.
Third reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, authorizing the issuance of bonds by the City of South Bend, Indiana, titled as Economic Development Income Tax Bonds of 2015 and other matters connected therewith, including the payment of incidental expenses on the account of the issuance of the bonds and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith.
Move for the passage of Bill 01-15.
Second.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Bordy. I will not be supporting this bill due to not what Mr. Davis said, but that's added on. We had was just a conversation earlier. I want to just make sure I explain my vote before I say nay. I want to make sure that it is clear. We were unclear, and I'm unclear on the development bond itself and what it's going to be applied to. We see a generalization of what could be paid for, but we're not clear on what is going to be paid for. And given the fact that we have 57 parks and $5.6 million, I think the park system, the city of South Bend residents deserve more, so we need to probably up that up and put that at a higher level. So I can't support something if I don't know where it's going to. So my vote is nay.
Dr. Fred Furlick.
Aye.
And President Tim Scott.
Aye.
That would be 7 ayes, 1 nay.
Okay, now, we are in the resolution portion of the council. This portion of the council meeting is where the common council hears bills filed as proposed resolutions. The title of each proposed resolution is read by the city clerk. A report from the committee chairperson of the standing committee, which the bill was referred to, is an advisory review and recommendation is given. If the proposed resolution is requesting a zoning special exception, a report from the building department will be first given, followed by the petitioner who's given the formal presentation at the podium. If the proposal resolution is requesting a tax abatement, a report from the city's community investment department will be given, followed by the petitioner giving a formal presentation at the podium. On all proposed resolutions, the formal presentation by the petitioner will be given immediately after the committee chairperson's report. Following the formal presentation, council members may ask preliminary questions only, with all other council comments being heard during the council portion. During the public portion on each proposed resolution, members of the public are invited to address the council. Please give your name, address, and comments on the bill. If you have questions, they will be addressed by the presenter during the rebuttal. Each member of the public is limited to 5 minutes for those speaking in favor, going first, followed by those in opposition, then a 5-minute rebuttal period for the presenter of the bill. Now I ask Clerk Gordy to read first resolution.
1501, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating certain areas within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 4315 South Lafayette Boulevard, South Bend, Indiana, 46614, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 5-year personal property tax abatement for Horace Kulzer, LLC.
Do we have a committee report?
Yes, sir. Mr. President, the Community Investment Committee had a hearing on 1501 this afternoon, which was a tax abatement request from Horace Kulzer. It comes to council with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. We have a formal report. Chris? That was
Good evening, Chris Fielding, offices on the 14th floor of this building, Department of Community Investment. Before you, we have a tax abatement petition for Horace Kulzer, located out of Lafayette here in South Bend since 2008. They are a division of Mitsui Chemical out of Japan, providing services to the dental industry for both prosthetic and aesthetic dentistry. Through recent acquisitions of 2 companies, they have the opportunity to really, in my opinion, revolutionize the prosthetic and aesthetic dentistry market. Operating on multiple different platforms, first being having access to the compound, second being the new technology platforms, certainly for marketing and internet and scanning abilities, also using 3D printing to create dentures in a additive manufacturing process versus a redactive manufacturing process that's currently used. They'll be adding approximately $1.5 million in equipment here in South Bend, adding a new R&D lab here. Total taxes to be paid on that equipment would be $108,325. Total taxes abated would be $53,811, and total taxes paid over the 5 years would be $54,514. They have committed to creating 10 new jobs here in South Bend at $23 an hour.
Any questions for the presenter at this point? No? Okay. Public hearing?
No, the formal presentation and by the...
Kira from Horace is here.
Hi, I'm Kira Geis, and the address is 300 Horace Way, South Bend, Indiana. Horace Kulzer is one of the world's leading dental manufacturers with headquarters in Hanau, Germany. As Chris mentioned, we were recently acquired by Mitsui Chemical, which is a corporation out of Japan. They're headquartered in Japan. We have moved our corporate headquarters here from Armonk, New York in 2008 and have been in the community since then. The dental materials and dental services divisions supply both dentists and dental technicians with extensive products ranging from cosmetic dentistry, tooth preservation, prosthetics, and digital dentistry, and this is an area where we're focused, obviously, as part of this petition. The company is partnering with a sister company that was also part of the Mitsui Chemical acquisition to be able to do this new business venture. I appreciate your time and consideration.
Thank you. Any questions for the presenter? Negative. No? Okay, thank you. We'll turn to the public hearing portion. Any of those wishing to speak in favor, please come to the podium. Anyone speaking in favor? Seeing none, anyone speaking against, please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll turn it back to council.
Move for adoption.
Second.
All in favor?
No.
Oh, sorry, down.
Roll call starting with Mr. Oliver Davis. Vice President Peter. Mr. Furley. Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis. Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
And President Tim Scott.
Aye.
That would be 8 ayes.
1502, John.
1502, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating a certain area within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 5021 Nimps Parkway, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 2-year real property tax abatement for the Foster Group, LLC.
A motion to hear Bill 1503 for purposes of public hearing with 1502.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
1503, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend designating a certain area within the City of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 5021 Nimps Parkway, South Bend, Indiana, 46628, an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 5-year personal property tax abatement for MGE Wholesale, Inc.
The Community Investment Meeting Committee met today, and we send both 1502 and 1503 to the full council favorably.
Thank you. And formal presentation?
Good evening, Chris Fielding, on the 14th floor of this building, Department of Community Investment. Before you, we have dual, both a personal property and real property tax abatement request on behalf of the Foster Group, the real estate owning entity, and MGEO Wholesale, who will be the actual employer of record of the employees at this business. This is an exemption to the ordinance under state statute that allows for abatement of taxes on a 2-year basis. It'd be 100% year 1, 50% year 2. The property under consideration, I know we owe you pictures before the resolution. The property under consideration is the former Bound Printing Building in Blackthorn, which is set empty for approximately 3 years. It did have some vandalism occur at the building where still a lot of the mechanicals were stripped. So that's really led to the building sitting vacant. Mr. Foster has agreed to purchase the building and make substantial upgrades to it. Total project investment for all aspects of the project, approximately $3.7 million, with $1.1 million to be invested to upgrade the building, $200,000 to be spent on equipment. He has agreed that the new project will create approximately 40 jobs. The total taxes to be abated for the equipment would be $8,220, with total taxes to be paid of $10,820. Total taxes that will be abated on the 2-year abatement will really be determined by the outcome of the recent tax appeal. However, at a minute it would be 100 on a percentage basis. It would be 100% year 1, 50% year 2, and in year 3 moving forward and move into full taxation. Mr. Foster is here if you have any questions.
Mr. Foster, if you could just tell us a little bit about what you're doing. Name and address, please.
My name is Brad Foster. The address of the property is 5021 Nimps Parkway, South Bend, Indiana, 46628. We are planning to expand the business that I currently own. It's going to be separate in entity. We are in the retail firearms business and wholesale firearms business and related products. We currently have a property on Grape Road that we've outgrown, and the Bound building fits our needs as far as security for the business that we're in and the space that we need to grow. So we expect to move 20 of our current employees into that facility and hire at least 10 in 2015, at least 10 more in 2016. We have plenty of growth past that.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions from council? Oliver Davis.
Do you ever plan to move your whole entity all the way over to this area?
We don't plan to have any retail business on Nimps Parkway at all.
Okay. Anyone else from council? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak on this resolution? In favor, could you please come to the microphone? Seeing none, anybody wanting to speak against this resolution, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed.
Move for adoption.
1502?
1502.
Second.
Thank you.
The roll. Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
And President Tim Scott.
Aye.
8 ayes.
And 1503?
Move the adoption of 1503.
Second.
The roll, starting with Mr. Furley.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Dr. Furley.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
And President Tim Scott.
Aye.
Adopted 8-0.
Great. So, welcome to the first district. Mr. Horty, 1504, please.
A resolution reconfirming the adoption of a declaratory resolution, 4330-14, designating certain areas within the city of South Bend, Indiana, commonly known as 237 North Michigan Street, as an economic revitalization area for purposes of a 10-year real property tax abatement for the LaSalle Apartments, LLC.
Mr. Brock-Z. Oh, no, committee report.
Community investment met today, and we send this forward.
Now, Mr. Brock-Z.
Thank you. Proxy, Department of Community Investment, 14th floor of this building. Before the council this evening is a reconfirming resolution for LaSalle Apartments LLC. They will be assuming previously passed tax abatement for Great Lakes Capital to redevelop the LaSalle Hotel. Just as a note, which we mentioned in committee, all the same terms are committed to, and nothing in the abatement has changed between during the assumption of the tax abatement. Mr. Jeff Ryan is here from Real America LLC, which is the LaSalle Apartments LLC, to answer any questions about the project that you may have, and I can answer any additional questions that you may have. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Ryan with Real America Development, offices at 10711 America Way in Fishers, Indiana. We're very excited to get to move forward on the LaSalle Apartments. We are eager to get going this spring, and the abatement, reconfirming that for our entity that will own the building would be very helpful. Any questions? I don't want to take up any more of your time other than the questions.
Any questions from council for either?
What was the key reason you chose this area?
I'm sorry?
What was the key reason you chose this location?
We are apartment developers. The downtown market here is good. The building is spectacular, and it's going to even be better when we're done with it. So there's a market and a building, and it works.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we'll open up for public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of this resolution, please come to the microphone. Please state your name and address.
Joe Agostino, 120 South Taylor. I'd like to speak very much in favor of the abatement. Having previously owned a property next to the LaSalle Hotel for over 18 years, I'm glad the city and economic development is moving forward with finally doing something for the building. It's a great classic building, beautiful inside, parts of it at least, and we'd love to see it restored to its glory. And I'd like to compliment economic development and the work it's been doing in the downtown area, bringing more permanent residents, not just day residents, into downtown, which will continue to make downtown even stronger. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Step right up.
Good evening, I'm Mark McDonald. What?
No, he's got to do that. No, you're all right.
Are you good? Down. Mark McDonald, I own LaSalle Grill at 115 West Colfax, which is about a block south of this development that is proposed. Downtown has been crying for residents, places to live, market rate apartments. This fits well with one of the reasons I located in downtown almost 24 years ago. With the Hoffman Hotel being converted already underway and seeing this project run, it is a great thing for South Bend and desperately needed, and I'm fully in support of it, as are many of the restaurants in the Downtown Dining Alliance of South Bend. I'm also a board member in DTSB, and I think I echo many of our board members' comments are thoroughly behind this thing, and we can't wait to see it happen and see that great building revitalized downtown. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak in favor of 1505? Seeing none, anybody wishing to speak against Resolution 1505? Anyone speaking against? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed.
President Scott, Mayor, I have a question, really quick. The petitioner, this particular project, the LaSalle Hotel, has been up on the market like 3, 4, 5 different times. Each time the deal has fallen through for various reasons. Here we are again talking about it. Believe me, I'm not trying to cast a dark cloud over it. I want to see it happen as well. What makes this opportunity or this attempt any different from the past 4 attempts over the last couple of years? Why will this happen?
Well, obviously, the economy has turned around, so we think that there's more of an opportunity now. 5 years ago, it was almost impossible to get anything financed. And I can't speak to the details of the previous. They may have had, my understanding is the previous developer that we're taking this over from got too busy with other things. So we have the capacity to be able to do this different than the previous. We've looked at it independently from what the others, and we think that there is a market and an ability to get it done.
Where else have you done projects like on this scale with a building like that?
We just finished a adaptive reuse of a building in downtown Fort Wayne that was very similar to this, ground floor retail, upper floor apartments using historic tax credits. That was a historic rehab, like we're planning on doing this. Very similar.
So how long does those historic tax credits take to come through?
A couple months after construction.
Really?
Yes.
What's the name of that building that you guys did in Fort Wayne?
Randall Lofts.
Randall?
Randall, yes.
R-A-N-D-L-L, Lofts, L-O-F-T-S?
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Look, that's not the reason. I'm just trying to find out. It's just been a lot of, heightened interest in that area. Everybody's excited. Each time, you've been let down. So I was just wondering why is this one any different than the other?
And I understand that entirely. We have fits and starts at times with deals, but we are most of the way through the architecture on this. We are getting ready to start bidding it out. We will begin in the spring. So we are close to being ready to go.
Are you guys expecting any tip money from this?
Yes.
How much?
1.8 million. It's what makes the deal feasible.
Thank you.
Move for adoption of 1504.
Second. The roll call, starting with Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Dieter.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
President Tim Scott.
Aye.
That would be 8 ayes.
1503, Kathy, just a procedural, if I'm the presenter on the next two.
On 14100, we need to have a motion to continue it indefinitely.
Okay, so moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Carries.
And then 1505, I believe the Chief Assistant City Attorney is here to give the beginning of the presentation, and then the two council members can get from your seat if you so desire.
Okay. Mr. Mooney, can you read
Reading of
1505?
1505, if you'll allow, Mr. President. A resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, establishing reasonable accommodation policies and procedures in zoning and land use decisions within the City of South Bend, Indiana.
Committee report.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Just having brain freeze. Zoning and Annexation Committee sent Bill 15, Resolution 1505 to the full council. No recommendations due to a lack of quorum.
Thank you. Aladeen.
Good evening, members of the council. It's my privilege and honor tonight to introduce this resolution which grows out of litigation against the City of South Bend in the case of Garola versus City, but not dwelling on the litigation and rather dwelling on the content of this resolution.
Either a little louder or right into that microphone.
Project,
Thank
like
you.
the mayor. The content of this resolution is to be celebrated because it's a result of many, many months of hard work among many departments, with the council's input, with the hard work of council's attorney, Kathleen Sikansky-Farron, with input from members of the Board of Zoning and the Area Plan Commission. We have placed together a set of policies and practices that have been approved by the Department of Justice and have also been approved by the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. And as such, this resolution, which governs the determination of decisions about disabled persons in housing, meets all of the requirements of federal law and complies with best practices. It's our request, and I believe it's council's request, I hope as well, that this resolution be approved.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Council Oliver Davis?
What was the rationale of doing it in a resolution form versus an ordinance form?
There's really no difference. We were, at least that was what we were informed by the Department of Housing and Urban Development and the Department of Justice, that they were comfortable with a resolution that approved the policies and practices. It's the policies and practices that are the meat and potatoes of this. And whether you approve that in the form of a resolution or an ordinance, the Department of Justice did not seem to matter, did not seem to care. And frankly, it's, as I said, it's the policies and the practices that's the core of this, and that's what we're approving.
Would there be any difference in terms of enforcement when it comes to issues of ordinances versus resolutions?
No. As a matter of law, we must do this. This is required of all cities throughout the country. One may not discriminate against the disabled in the acquisition of their housing. So this is required as a matter of law by all communities throughout the country. But we have a specific set of practices and procedures and policies. In fact, makes it easier for us to prove, as long as we follow these practices and procedures, which we will, that we are in compliance and that we're doing our duty under law.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Now, with that, we'll turn it over to the public portion. Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of Resolution 1505, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1505, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, public portion is now closed. Move for adoption, council.
Second.
Then I'll call the roll, starting with Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President Dean.
Aye.
Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
And President Tim Scott.
Aye.
That would be 8 ayes.
1506.
56. a resolution of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, delaying the effective date of Ordinance 10343-14, addressing Section 2-9.1 of Article 1 of Chapter 2 of the South Bend Municipal Code, addressing Common Council.
So, committee report? So IT.
Oh, I apologize. 1506, Information Technology sends us forward favorably.
Okay. Formal? Kathy, you will. Aladeen, could you? Thank you.
Again, Aladeen DeRose, City Attorney with offices on the 12th floor of this building. This resolution is, again, a product of litigation against the city, and it is we understand there's a pending injunction hearing that may take place February 6th. We've been attempting to work with the council for the ACLU in resolving this matter at the least cost and expense to the city. And as part of that, in order to postpone this hearing, the ACLU has indicated that it would do so if we agreed to suspend the enforcement of the underlying ordinance indefinitely.
Thank you. Any questions from council? Seeing none, we'll open up to the public. Anybody wishing to speak in favor of 1506, please come to the microphone. Seeing none, anyone wishing to speak against 1506, would you please come to the microphone? Seeing none, the public portion is not closed.
For adoption. Second.
Mr. Gordy?
The roll. Dr. Furlick.
Aye.
Dr. Varner.
Aye.
Mr. Oliver Davis.
Aye.
Vice President
Aye.
Peter. Mr. Furlick.
Aye.
Councilmember White.
Aye.
Mr. Henry Davis.
Aye.
And President Tim Scott.
Aye.
8 ayes.
Thank you. First readings. Mr. Gordy, would you read 0415?
First reading on a bill of the Common Council of the City of South Bend, Indiana, amending various subsections of Chapter 2, Article 1, Section 2-9.1 of the South Bend Municipal Code, addressing policies and procedures governing city-owned technologies, Facebook standards, social media, and social networking policies and procedures.
Petitioner, can I request that this be continued indefinitely this time?
Yes.
Okay, as petitioner, I request that it be continued.
Did you want it referred back to the Information and Technology Committee as a part of it, so that discussions can take place?
Sure.
Second. Mr. Gordy? First reading, yes.
What's his,
All in
what's,
favor?
no, is it indefinite still?
Yes, that means that it would have to be put on unfinished business for it to ever be set.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Okay, unfinished business.
I have something.
Mr. Dieter.
At the beginning, you were talking about commissions and boards and stuff. When are we getting, citizens have applied to become a member of a committee? When do we get those?
I think clerk's office should have them in your boxes this week. Electronically? So they're out by email.
They were out today?
Today, Prima? Yes. Okay, thank you. All right, anything else? Mr. Henry Davis.
Yes, sir, and bear with me because I have new and unfinished business. I wish you would allow us to ask the mayor earlier. Nuisance ordinance, unfinished business. 3417, I hope somebody's recording this, 3417 West Western Avenue. There was an issue with gunshots, fire shots, like, a couple weeks ago. No real report from the police station based upon what took place. However, this is an ongoing occurrence at this particular gas station. I don't know what the report read or how the report should read. However, I'm sure that place probably falls under a nuisance ordinance. The address again is 3417 West Western Avenue. It's on the corner of Western and Falcon. This particular gas station has had numerous shootings, numerous people being shot and also killed. This is not a new occurrence for the neighborhood of the folks that live over there, so I don't know why this is not being taken care of. The other thing I want to ask is that, do we still have our graffiti removal team? Well, we have loads and loads of graffiti all over the west side, up and down Western Avenue and on Linden Avenue. On the corner of Linden and, what's that, Meade? I think that's Meade. No, that's Linden and Cayley at the corner, right? Right after you cross the tracks on Meade, you get to that corner, there's this glorified, new spray paint. I've seen it on Lincoln Way again. I don't know why it's not being taken care of. It's been up there for about a week. Really, really nice graffiti. I wish they would probably do it at home. But we need it being removed. West Washington and Colfax Apartments. They should fall up under a nuisance ordinance as well. I met with a lady during the, Oliver and I actually spoke with her at the King Day celebration when it was down here in County City Building. She's a resident there. I've been over there, ABC 57 the store. You guys are updated on it. Code enforcement went out there, took down a log of different things that was wrong with the building. She says the same issues persist, and as a matter of fact, it's gotten worse. The landlord himself is threatening to remove some of the tenants if they say anything to us. They are lower income folks who are receiving some governmental assistance aid to help make sure that they are living there. They live in subpar, substandard conditions. Again, the building department has been over there in full force, as well as the code enforcement. And to no avail, we still have these issues. No heat, it's cold outside. Leaking roofs, cold outside. No shoveling of the snow, it's cold outside. It's just really bad over there. It's really, really bad. I wouldn't want to live over there. I wouldn't want anyone else to live over there. You can see the walls themselves are cracking. Looks like the building has shifted or is continuing to shift. So it's in pretty bad condition and needs to be repaired, or somebody needs to get over there to make sure that the owner, who lives in California, is on his job. When you go to new business, I got no business.
Any other unfinished business? I think you transitioned, Mr. French.
I've had success going with code out there. If you take the code officer out there and show them that, usually they'll do something and get it done.
Well, I just said,
okay.
We just went out there.
They should.
Okay. Do you have any new business?
No business.
All right, new business. Anybody with
new business? I sent you guys the letter that I obviously copied you on. I sent the Mayor Buttigieg. We are in dire straits downtown. I keep saying this. I don't know why no one's responding. Chase Tower is looking like it's losing like 11 tenants due to the fact that their building will be refurbished. We don't know where these tenants are going. It's incumbent upon us to make sure that we retain those businesses in the downtown area. For every dollar spent in the downtown area within the local economy, $4 are created. If those businesses are removed, you have probably more than 50 employees during lunchtime who would not patronize those area businesses. So not only do those businesses remove themselves from the area, but the folks at La Peep or Wuxi will not receive the same business that they have been receiving. So it puts a strain on everyone. I sent out a letter to you guys as well as the mayor asking for maybe a possible incentive program to make sure that those businesses are retained in this area. Why incentive? Why are we talking about tax dollars giving back to businesses to support private business? Business pay taxes as well. So I don't understand why that ideologically out there is illogical, but I think it's very logical that we do try to retain these folks. Down the street, really quick, we have the post office itself being closed down. So that's over 200, I think it's 230 jobs that are being lost in the local areas again. So now you're still looking at another hole in the local economy, spending money in the downtown area. As many games that we just finished talking about, we have some setbacks at the same time. And so I think that it behoove us not to talk about how we can retain businesses, whether it's putting them into the Hall of Fame until the business is, until the building is refurbished, or giving some type of incentive to make sure they stay down here. I don't know if it's a tax credit program, if there's a shared interest with something, but making sure that they stay down here. You have the information. I'll be following up on it. If anybody has any questions, please contact me. I just think it's necessary to retain business in downtown area.
Okay. Anything else on new business? No, we'll move to the privilege of the floor. This is where anybody can come and speak on behalf of any issue that was not mentioned today. Derek Dieter, would you please keep the time? You have 3 minutes. Mr. Dieter will give you a 1-minute exit.
Melissa Stokely, 226 East Ekman, South Bend, 46614.
And would you please all speak up because the microphone's not that great for us? I'm sorry.
Last year I noticed that there was one entry for meeting minutes on the website. This year I went back. There's no entry for the first meeting of 2015. I had called the clerk's office. Karima had left me a voicemail and said that if I had a specific date in mind, I could get a copy of those. She also said that the recording equipment is faulty, which I understand. I emailed the council as a whole, John Gordy, and Karima. Never got a response. Talked to a few of the council members who never received this email. I have it right here. Proof that I sent it. The missing minutes are disturbing. You have a deaf person who can't make it to a meeting, who wants to go online and get a copy of those minutes. There are no minutes. And there's no note as to why those minutes are missing. The more disturbing issue is when I sent out this email, the council never received it. And I'm unsure why that is. I don't know if it was intercepted. I don't know if there was a problem with the email in delivering it. Not sure, but I do have copies of those for the council who didn't receive it. And I have my papers. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Samuel Brown. Can you hear me, Joe?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Samuel Brown, representing Citizens United for a Better Government. I live in 222 East Navarre Street. I'm back again to talk about the money for King Drive. And I've been frustrated with that because 2 years ago, in that little room back there, Pete Buttigieg told Scobie that come in, we'll get that taken care of. 2 years of a long fight, we haven't got nothing done. Okay, I'll move on quickly. I know everybody telling me to talk about it, but I'm going to keep talking about it until I die. Nobel Peace Prize winner, one of the most famous men in history, and we can't get a street that represents what it stands for. I live in the 1st District. I was having a problem up there. I went to my councilman, and I couldn't get nothing done for 2 years. I walked with the councilman, I told him my problem, nothing done. I was frustrated. So I took out by myself to get it done. Got it done. Okay, now let's move back to King Drive. On the King holiday, I went to watch the movie Selma. And as I was sitting there with my family, watching the Selma with the young kids, I didn't really understand a lot was going on, and I lived in that era. Nothing was getting done. When they marched to the corner of the bridge, they was turned back. But when they got whites involved, whites marched with them, took up their sympathy, something got done. Oh, a light went off my head. So, King Drive is not going to get done as long as Sammy Brown coming to the mic talking about it. As long as Scobie talking about it. But until some whites take our sympathetic challenge up, King Drive is not going to get changed. And I hope that we have some people in the city of South Bend that are going to feel like the whites in the movie of Selma. Because I would be voting today if it was sympathetic whites and the march with them blacks. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Charnel Mayfield Martin. My residence is 5121 Cedarwood Lane. I'm a recent Purdue graduate. That's Purdue University. I graduated from South Bend, Washington. I went to LaSalle Academy, and I also went to Wilson. And I'm standing here to represent one of the most underrepresented groups of people, and that's African American college graduates that return home. And one thing I would like to speak on is I've been wanting to speak on this for like 4 years because while I was at Purdue, I was actually keeping up with the government here and stuff to see how my city is doing, you know. Because I always considered returning home, even though I have, you know, other offers everywhere else. But I consider coming home because I feel like I have a certain obligation to my city, to my community. So one thing I did notice, and I want to speak on, is the disrespect among the council members. All I see as I read the papers and as I watch the news is egos. You know what I mean? All I see is, you know, somebody saying, you know, my district is better because of this. I did this, I did this, I did this. And at the end of the day, I sit back and have to realize that it's not about the district. It's about the city of South Bend. It's about making the city better. You know what I mean? It's about everybody working together. Every district working together to build this city to what it should be. You know, back in high school, I learned that Chicago and South Bend used to compete, you know. They used to be like, you know, in competition, as in like South Bend and Chicago were equal. You know what I mean? And why has Chicago progressed so much and we have yet to reach that? You know? I can give my own reasons, my own theories. And one of them is the leadership. You know what I mean? Once again, back to the disrespect. You know, as I sit there in my seat and see, you know, it was obvious, you know, who was clicking up over here. It's obvious who you guys do not like. You know, and that shouldn't be obvious to me, sitting in the audience. You know, you guys represent us.
You have 30 seconds, ma'am.
Okay? And you guys represent us. And, you know, and if we feel as though you guys cannot get it together, you know what I mean, cannot bring it together as one, how can this city ever be what it was destined to be? And that's all I have to say.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, I'm Thomas Clempe. I'm the commander over American Legion Post 357. A few of you know me, quite a few of you don't know me, but I have sent out an email to all of you guys late last week. There's a program that I'm trying to push forward here within the city. One of the things our Legion Riders do is we have a Stars and Stripes program every year, our ride, and that ride that we have on Memorial Day weekend helps fund flag awareness. We use the funds to go out and replace flags at middle schools and high schools and teach the young kids about the American flag, what it means and how to respect it and so on and so forth. Sometimes we end up with a little bit of money left over. In my travels in doing things with the Department of Indiana, we had moved our current headquarters for the Department of Indiana from downtown Indianapolis to the city of Lawrence. And the city of Lawrence has a program called the Blue Star Banner Program. And our Legion Riders want to actually, they've already approved it within themselves to be able to run that program and go for fundraising, etc. What we need is help from the city in some direction as to how we make sure we get approval so that way we can hang the banners within the city. And many of you have seen the banners. I'm pretty sure most of the ladies and gentlemen in the audience have seen them. It's a red rectangle with a blue star in the center of it. And these banners would have the city's name at the top of them. They would have the soldier's rank, the name, and the service that they are serving in and protecting our freedom, or a phrase in which the city or whatever committee we put together would basically do that. Our Legion Riders are basically going to take care of the funding for it. That way it's not put on the city. The only thing we may need help with is maybe hanging them, from the light poles. But basically they would be in the entrances into the city, the major corridors coming in and out of the city. It's a way for the city to bring the community together. We have a single cause. And obviously with the South Bend 150 coming forward, it's a great opportunity to get that program kicked off. Here's the one thing I do know, with that ride just around the corner, we're already in our funding stage and trying to make sure that ride's funded, but it doesn't mean we can't add it on to it. What we'd like to see is at least approval from the city saying, you guys will eventually be able to put up, the signs down the light poles going through the city. Obviously there's some things that got to be worked out, and probably an ordinance that's got to be changed, or at least maybe getting GTSB on board with doing that. I realize with the South Bend 150, it's really busy. There's already plans for a lot of banners, but if we can get that approval going, we can start getting our funding going. And basically, those banners are chosen to be put up.
Yeah, 30 seconds, sir. Okay,
it would be done by committee, and it's for active duty, guardsmen, or reservists that are residents of South Bend. Their parents are residents of South Bend, or their spouses are, and when they're deployed or they're stationed outside of the state of Indiana, that's when that would be part of the application process. You guys have the emails, there's a PowerPoint presentation, a small explanation as to what the program is, and I would appreciate your support on that, and any help or direction you can give me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next.
Hello, Valerie Mora Kraus, 4207 Norton Drive. Excuse me, I'm recovering from a cough. Anyway, I'm here tonight to address something I think is really important, and that is where your common council meetings for 2014 are. And the reason, it's actually a practical reason. I was applying to be on some of your committees, and I really wanted to know what had been going on in 2014 on the council, and I couldn't find anything. And when I was doing my application, how was I going to know what everybody thought? You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to find out what the South Bend Trib says about it, because nothing personal if you're here from the Trib, but you know what? People can get it wrong, or that's somebody else's spin. I want to see what each and every person thinks, because I may disagree with you on A, but I may agree with you on B. And I want to work together with you, kind of like that young lady was saying, to make our government better. And if we can't do that if we are just not given all the information on everybody all the time. And so with that, I just want to say a few things, and that would be hashtag South Bend Common Council, hashtag where are the minutes, hashtag 2014, hashtag good government, hashtag technology, hashtag please put this in writing, your responses for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next.
Hello, I am Rhonda Richards, 1020 Clover Street, South Bend, Indiana.
A little louder.
A little louder.
Thank you.
I am here also to ask that you guys would hold each other, like I've been asking for 8 months, that you guys would hold each other accountable for what your jobs are and what you are to do to the public as our public service. And I, too, for 8 months, have not found the notes that I've needed to be able to back up the complaints I've had, or to see what response you guys have had towards the complaints I've had in the small committee meetings or wherever they had been assigned. And it is very discouraging as a citizen to try to work through the system and to be here and to follow your rules and to do the things that you've asked us to do, and not be able to see that there's any movement. I thank you for the new council leadership and the way it's been switched around, and that you have reached out to me to make sure that you have copies of everything so that you can look into why these hadn't been done or what needed to be done to get them answered. I appreciate that, but we do need you to be accountable. And Mr. Vorty, I'm sorry, I need you to be accountable too. It's very hard to not have what I need to be able to follow through with those complaints and see. So I do need, like several others, I guess, tonight said, we do need the accountability of that and the transparency with this council. And Gavin, I tried to motion to you earlier, your name tag's been upside down all night.
Nice. Thank you. He's no relative of mine, okay?
Thank you. Next. Dave Wilson, 1109 21st Street. I don't have too much to say tonight. When I come to the meeting the last of December, I approached the door downstairs, and the woman told me, she says, where are you going? I told her, I said, I'm going up to the council. And she said, well, the council's already went home. I'm looking at my watch and I said, yeah, they probably did. They went home for lunch. And she said, no, she said, there's a note on the thing saying they're not coming back. And so I thought, well, okay, you know, and she said, don't you know, she said, they don't want you here. What? And I looked at her and I thought to myself, no, that's not right. So I left the building, I went home, and I happened to thought, well, I'm going to turn on TV and see if it's on the TV. Sure enough, you had a council meeting that night. It only lasted about 35 minutes, but it wasn't right what she said. I was going to tell that young lady, too, if you're still out there, the reason there's not a whole lot getting done when you got 8 Democrats and 1 Republican on our council, it's hard to get things done.
Thank you. Seeing no one else?
Bring that man back.
There's a recount, sir.
Hang on a minute. We're adjourned. Make a motion for, entertain a motion. Second.
So moved, second.
All in favor? Aye.
Dan Brown.
I don't want to talk about you. You know what I can do? Is there It's going nowhere away from you. I'll get the details.
Hey, how you doing? I saw you here in the audience. We were here a couple weeks ago. Yeah, the social media stuff. That's kind of what I did.
I know that. How are your girls doing?
Real good, yeah.
How old would they be?
The older one, Olivia.
Olivia,
is
okay.
down at Bloomington.
Okay.
And she'd be a sophomore now. And the younger one, 15 months younger,
Okay.
Haley, is rocking the community college at USD.
Okay.
And Haley went, or Olivia went through there. She's okay. Get away from mom and dad.
Yeah, right.